Same face in the Gaza is the same face I see out in California. Same face in Jericho is the same face I see down in Mexico. Same face in Tel Aviv is the same face I see out in New Jersey. So many places all share the same faces. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. Same face in the Haifa is the same face out in Nevada. Same face in the blues is the same face out in New Orleans singing the blues. Same face in London town, same face out in Kingston town. So many places all share the same faces. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. Spread a little love, spread in the morning, yeah. Spread a little love.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Yes. But can you see me? Yes. I'm Dr. Elliot Ratzman. I teach in the religion department at our own college. I teach Jewish studies and Christian theology and philosophy of religion. And I work with the Richmond Interfaith network, and I'll be your host today for this gathering, this Golden Rule gathering. So I have a few announcements. First, behold the cell phone, curse and blessing of our existence. If you might put it on silent or vibrate, so that all the important things that will be said and sung and recited today are not interrupted. So people often ask me if I'm a rabbi, and I say no, but I play one on television occasionally. So I'd just like to introduce this session with a few words. I'll read it in Hebrew to impress you, even though my Hebrew is terrible. Al shlosha devarim ha'olam amod al haTorah al havodah al gimlut hasadim. This is from Keavot, the Ethics of the Fathers, and it means, on three things the world stands: on Torah, or law, on divine work, and on acts of loving kindness, on Hesed. These three things would be nice that all people would be doing: to live by law, to live by divine worship, to live by loving kindness, by altruism. This is a difficult time in world history. It always is a difficult time in world history, but especially for Jewish communities, for Muslim communities, and Christian communities, all of us who are looking towards the Holy Land, the Middle East, and what is happening there. Yesterday, I was at a rally for a vigil in Dayton, Ohio. Christians, Muslims, Palestinians, and one short Jew. And it was a vision in some ways of how we can think about our lives and the tensions there, and that we all didn't agree with each other's placards, but we all agreed that we had to be there together with each other. And so as we march towards hopefully a better world, we might march with different slogans, different languages, different prayers, different images on our placards, but march we must. If you haven't picked up a schedule, program, please do it outside. I want to call up Isani Verma.
Hello, my name is Ishani Verma, and I am not a Richmond High School student. I'm actually in 6th grade, and I go to Hibbard. So I am a Hindu, and that's my root. So today I'm going to recite a couple of mantras from the Hindu religion, specifically talking about hope and wisdom in our religion. These mantras talk about the wisdom and well-being of all humankind, no matter who you are. A mantra is a sacred message or chant that is generally repeated. So let's start with the first mantra. Om Asato Ma Savagamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. This means, lead me from the unreal to the real. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. Let me explain it in a bit more detail. A human is a student or seeker who is dwelling herself or himself in knowledge, seeking the ultimate truth in life, and praying to the divine to show the path from ignorance to knowledge. The student, in the first line of this mantra, is thus seeking the ultimate truth and reality in life, which never undergoes any change. Ignorance is referred to here as darkness, and light is wisdom. The only remedy for darkness is light. This is best explained by the old saying, the rope and the snake. So one day a man is walking in the street late in the evening and the light is very dim. He sees something lying curled up on the ground and it runs away, fearing that it is a snake. A passerby who has a flashlight is able to throw light on the object, showing that it was just a rope. In the darkness of ignorance, the man suffered the emotions of fear and anxiety. Our lives, for the most part, are built around similar instances of ignorance, where we take the unreal for the real and go through grieving. That knowledge in turn leads you to a greater path, all the way up to immortality, not of the body, but of the soul. As humans, we need to realize that wealth, health, food, housing, means of transportation, success, fame, friends, etc. come and go. These are not the sources of permanent happiness nor joy. Our human bodies go through constant change. Our minds and intellects are also constantly changing. Thus, none of these can be labeled as a source of eternal joy. Anything that can be considered true or real must exist in all three stages of time: the past, the present, and the future. Through the process of mental purification, we can begin to remove the ignorance and get the light of true wisdom and understanding. This process will ultimately lead to self-realization. This is a prayer for human beings all across religions, countries, civilizations, and it doesn't matter who you are or how you look. Here, all the aspirations of the human heart have been included. Over the last few years, our world has faced sorrow again and again, whether it was the pandemic, hate crimes, or multiple wars. People are suffering and grieving all over the world. I want to recite another mantra from the Hindu religion for the happiness of every living being in this world. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashti Dukh Bhagave Om Shanti 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 Om. This means Om. May we all be happy. May we all be free from illnesses. May everyone see goodness in in everything. May no one suffer. Om, peace, peace, peace. That concludes my presentation. Namaste and have a good day.
Fantastic. I'd like to call up Jill Lindbergh from the African Methodist Episcopal Church in Richmond.
I go to West Richmond Friends Meeting, and I teach at the Earlham School of Religion, which is a graduate school of religion on the Earlham campus. And actually, First Friends here is home to many Earlham School of Religion folks, alumni, and faculty. And so it's really good to be here. I want to tell the story of our recent meeting with the staff person of our Senator Braun. We were gathered together. Elliot helped organize a group of us, an interfaith group of us, to collaborate with the Friends Committee on National Legislation to have a friendly visit with the local staff person for Senator Braun around the escalation of violence in Israel-Palestine. Senator Braun is, he's not from the same party as me, I will say. And the Friends Committee on National Legislation encouraged us to sit down with him, with his staff person. And Hassan El Tayyab from Friends Committee on National Legislation got us together, and so there was a group of us together. We were Jewish, Catholic, Quaker, Methodist, and we went down to the basement of our library, Morrison Reeves Library, and he had a conference room there and held office hours, and so we came for his office hours. And we shared our concerns for peace, and we asked for that message to be conveyed. And it's an unfinished story. I don't know that our time together really changed his thinking or the senator's thinking, but I think that story is unfinished, and it was not a waste of time to sit together. And so I think part of it for me, on the one hand, is the urgency of every minute being too long and too late in a moment of such violence, held with peacemaking taking every form, and that in all ways we must approach and do what we can. And we don't just hope that it adds up, we pray that it does. And I think that prayer is different from hope in my mind, that prayer seeks wisdom and guidance and light. And I think even our being here today is peacemaking of this kind. Not enough, and yet so important. And so I want to end with a word from the Friends Committee on National Legislation around the world we seek. We seek a world free of war and the threat of war. We seek a society with equity and justice for all. We seek a community where every person's potential may be fulfilled, and we seek an earth restored. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. I'd like to call up Dr. Simran Calico-Bear, who's my colleague and comrade from the area, from representing the Sikh community. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Elliot. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'm here today with you to read the Moon Mantra. My little sis here explained what a mantra was earlier. The Moon Mantra in Punjabi is the root mantra. It's a part of the Japji Sahib, which is part of the nickname or 5 daily prayers that are incorporated into the Sikhs' everyday lifestyle. It was the first part of the Sikh Gurbani that I learned from a good friend, uncle who passed away. He was an Afghani Sikh who grew up in India, and a good friend of my parents lived in New Jersey and taught me how to read the Moon Mantra. And it wasn't until I was in high school or college, and even lately, that I've been revisiting what it can do for me as a Sikh woman. So I will read it to you first and then translate it, or translate as I kind of go along. So, Ek Onkar, one universal creator God, Sat Nam, and it's true. Karta Purak, creative being personified. Nirbo, without fear. Nirvad, without hatred. Akal Murat, image of the undying. Ajuni, beyond birth. Sehbang, self-existent. Gurprasad, by their own grace. Jap, chant and meditate. Ad Sach, Jugad Sach. True in the very beginning, true throughout the ages. Have be such, Nanak Kosi be such. True here and now, O Nanak, forever and ever true. So the founder of the Sikh faith, Guru Nanak, immersed himself into the river for about 3 days. Folks thought he'd drown, he wasn't going to come back out again. But when he emerged, the Mool Mantra is the first thing he shared, which was the first Sikh disciples. I often reflect on, in this day and age, and what we're going through right now in the world, the anxiety, the fear, and the hatreds that we see, to really ground ourselves as Sikh people in being Nirmal and being Nirvad, remembering that God is without fear, without enmity, without hatred. We are part of that creation. We should walk and be without fear and without hatred. So whenever you're going out there, whatever worldview you're from, hold on to those things that make you feel that you can overcome, that you can be braver and kinder and without hatred and without fear towards one and all. Thank you.
I'd like to call up Yaya Bari, who is a student at Early College.
Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. I'm Yaya from Sierra Leone and I'm a sophomore at Arnold College. And I'm here to recite the Surah An-Nabai, which means the great event. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم عما يتساءلون عن النبأ العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون كلا سيعلمون ثم كلا سيعلمون ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا جزاء وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا صدق الله العظيم. Thank you very much.
I'd like to call up Warren Baumeister, who is a new friend and someone whose presence totally appreciated. To tell us the story of the night.
Good afternoon. Always glad to be around these people. Always good people, good conversation. And how great would the world be without government? They asked me if I would tell a story, and a lot of you saw me bring in this piece of artwork. The pipe. Now, a lot of people in history know that it's a peace pipe. Let me tell you a story about the peace pipe. My people didn't call it a peace pipe. We call it a chanupa, which is just a pipe. When we use this pipe, it was at ceremony, for prayer, for council meetings. When you had important things going on, all the leaders would come, people would come. They'd load the pipe before anything else happened. And those that were attending the meeting would smoke the pipe. Now, a lot of people say, you guys were really brave when you fought. What did you smoke in your pipe? We didn't fight bravely because we smoked something in the pipe. We fought bravely because we were trying to protect our way of life, our families, our children, our women. The pipe was important to the people because of where it came from. And when we sat down and smoked this pipe with others, the reason they did that was that once you used that pipe, you told no lies because of where the pipe came from. The gift of the pipe came 20 generations ago to the Lakota Nation. Some of you may have heard of the White Buffalo Cap woman. The people were struggling really bad, having a hard time. And they sent out 2 young men, to look, scout for food, animals, something to hunt. Well, they were out on the hill, the 2 of them, and they seen a white buffalo calf. So they got to talking about it, and as they were standing there watching it, it turned into a woman. And she approached it. And one of the young men just automatically had bad thoughts about her. And the fog came up from the ground and covered everybody. They couldn't see each other. When the fog went away, the young man with bad thoughts was Ash. So she explained to the one who didn't turn to Ash that he needed to go back to his people and tell them that she was coming and she had a gift for them. So he said, "Yes, ma'am." Went back to the village and he explained to them what happened. The leaders who got it together. So they built out of several teepees, one large teepee, because they would do that. Council meeting. When she came, everybody was there. Everybody was excited. And she came into the meeting and she laid down rules and laws to live by. And I'm honestly shocked to hear a lot of what was already said. Same idea. Treat people decently. You don't have to be she was there for 7 days teaching. She presented him with a pipe. The pipe was still in existence. One of the leaders on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota still has that pipe. That pipe bundle still is in existence. So, other people have pipes. There's only one place in the country that you can get the stone that they make the pipes from. And it's said that stone is the color it is from the blood of the people after the Great Flood. It pooled in that area. It's the only place that you get that stone. So they make the pipes out of that. Sacred. To us, it's sacred. So people get stone pieces, they make pipes, they do all kinds of stuff with them. But to be a carrier of a pipe, if you are given that title to be a pipe carrier, then that means you are gifted a pipe to carry. And when that happens, you accept that gift. That means that you now have something you have to care for, just like you do your families. You take care of it. It's put in a special place. It's taken care of. It's part of you now. It's part of your family. It's not mine to keep. Because at some point in your life, it's going to move on to the next person. Be gifted to somebody else to take care of. Just like the eagle feathers that we carry. We don't own them. We don't own anything. That's why it was so easy for the government to take the land. We didn't look at it as ownership. We're caretakers. And that's what we took care of. One of the most important things that we were given to take care of was a pipe. So when I was gifted a pipe, it scared the crap out of me. It was a big responsibility to take on that, to be that person. As a pipe carrier, you're given that gift because there's something about you that says you can do it. And when someone comes and asks you, I need prayer, can you pray with me? It's your obligation because you're a pipe carrier to say, go pray.
Our next musical selection from Sarah Sinnott. Where's Sarah? Waves of the Sea.
I'm glad to be here with everyone. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm a member of the Baha'i Faith, and Baha'is believe that unity in diversity is possible and is essential for humanity to prosper. And I think part of the achievement to get there is from mutual respect, dialogue, and understanding. Baha'u'llah is the founder of the Baha'i Faith, and I want to read a quote from him. The well-being of mankind, its peace and security, are unattainable unless and until its unity is firmly established. And with lots of help, I'd like to share a Baha'i song about unity, but I can't sing, so I am going to depend on the kindness of the others to do a video for me.
Thank you.
us as waves of the sea, as flowers of the garden, united and green, through the bounties of thy love. Make us as waves of the sea, as flowers of the garden, united and green, through the bounties of thy love. Make all mankind as stars, shining from the same light of glory, as perfect fruit, growing upon thy tree of life. Make us as waves of the sea, as flowers of the garden, united and green, through the bounties of thy love. Make us as waves of the sea, as flowers of the garden, united and green, through the bounties of thy love. Make all mankind as stars, shining from the same light of glory, as perfect fruit, growing upon thy tree of life. Make us as waves of the sea, as flowers of the garden, united and green, through the bounties of thy love. Make all mankind as stars, shining from the same light of glory, as perfect fruit, growing upon the tree of life, growing upon the tree of life, growing upon the tree of life. Make us as waves of the sea, make us as waves of the sea, make us as waves of the sea, make us as waves of the sea.
afternoon, everyone. A few years ago, I went to the public museum and noticed that there wasn't many displays that looked like me. And I thought, what are you going to do about it? And I got a plan, and I went to work with help from others of gathering artifacts that are dedicated to show the contributions and achievements of the blacks of Richmond, Indiana from 1800 and beyond. Well, in that year, I was able to work with the Wayne County Historical Museum, and the display opened in June of this year. It was the largest opening the museum had ever had on a signature event. We had over 500 people attend in that first weekend. The display is still running. It will be in the museum until June of 2024 when they do the new signature event. My mission is to give kids, children, a sense of pride that they come from Richmond. And in doing that, I was able to put up a couple of bulletin boards in Star School, and the kids were going through the lunch. And pretty soon, a little girl come back dragging a teacher with her, and she pointed to the bulletin board and said, "That's my uncle." And it just filled my heart, because that's my whole mission, was to give children a sense of pride. We are 501c3, and we're taking, donations and volunteers. And if you have any artifacts or anything like that, please let me know, or stories. The exhibit is still at the museum, and if you get down, we're upstairs, downstairs, and in the back building, and it is amazing to see what people of Richmond have accomplished. Not just here, but clear to California and beyond. So just get down there and see it. We are also working on trying to get a permanent building so that we can have a permanent display, because there are over 100 artifacts there, but I still have more people are still contacting me with that information. So thank you.
Now we're going to have a reading from the Bhagavad Gita, Kalapana Prajapati. Eternity of the soul.
Namaskar. My name is Kalapana Prajapati, and I am a Hindu. Hindu is a beautiful religion. It's a religion of symbols and spirituality, rituals and scriptures. And there are many scriptures, like Vedas, Upanishads, Mahabharatas, Puranas, and saints. Bhagavad Gita is one of the very important scriptures that we have. It is also called Dev Gita. Dev Gita means the song of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita is a part of epic Mahabharata, and it was recited by Lord Krishna to his disciple and friend Arjuna. It was given to Arjuna to pull him out of his ignorance and show him the truth and the purpose and the importance of his actions and existence. It's a book about spirituality and moral dilemmas and our true nature. It's a book about source of suffering and how to end it. So Krishna tells Arjuna to focus on the eternity of soul and practice dharma at all times. At times, even if it can be very difficult to practice. And even after hundreds of years, this book stays relevant. So today, I am going to share a verse from this beautiful book. When faced with the reality of fighting a war against his family, settles into the heart of Arjuna. He sinks deep into despair, overcomes with grief, guilt, sadness, and many more emotions. And then Krishna gives him the jnana, the truth. Krishna teaches him about the immortality and eternity of soul. Krishna says, Nainam chidanti shastrani, nainam dhanti pavakaha, na chainam kle, rayanti apo, na shosheti, destroyed or burned in fire. That means it cannot be moistened or wet by water. And not it can be dried or withered away by air. Soul cannot be created, neither can it be destroyed. There was no time when the soul did not exist, and there will be no time when it would not exist. So he says, Krishna says to Arjuna, so that come out of despair and just focus on the eternity of the soul and the purity of soul. And let your actions be guided by that. And try to practice dharma. That dharma is the action which is the right thing to do. Dharma is the highest form of spirituality, is compassion and peace. So Krishna says to Arjuna that don't be misguided and be overcome by this mortal body and mortal relationships, but focus on the eternity of soul and always be guided by the wisdom of it. So in its truest form, soul is a part of the Supreme Lord. It carries the essence of all-powerful soul, the eternal divine spark. And we should all focus on that, on always try to do the right thing. Thank you.
I'd like to call Nirav Rashid, who's the convener of the MSA at Rowan College.
Hi, I'm Mira. I'm a sophomore at Rowan College, and I help convene the Muslim Student Association at Rowan. And today I will be talking about sabr in Islam. Sabr. Sabr is an Arabic word that comes from the Quran, and when translated, it means patience. Sabr holds so much importance in Islam that it can be seen as half of a Muslim's religion. When I was little, I would only hear this word from my parents. If I was whining because my sister wouldn't share her toys with me, my mom would say, Beta sabr. Or if I were rushing my Baba when he was trying to work, he would say, Beta sabr. If I didn't pay any mind to it and thought it was just another saying they would have. And knowingly since then, my parents have tried to build sabr into my life. As I said earlier, sabr is a big part of a Muslim's religious life. We are told to be patient during our 5 daily prayers and not to rush them. We should take our time to remember Allah because those are the moments when we are most at peace and can share our difficulties. A time when we wish to have the most sabr is during Ramadan. It is the month when Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset and abstain from all types of foods and liquids. But the aspect of waiting to eat at sunset isn't the part where we have to be patient the most. It's about controlling your anger if a peer is upsetting you, because we all know a hungry person isn't always a happy person. So as a Muslim, sabr is meant to be a part of our daily routine. But it's definitely easier said than done. Life is filled with challenges and losses that are hard to accept. But it's even harder to be patient when there seems to be no resolution or relief in sight. We surrender to the pain and anger and think, why me? What did I do to deserve this? Speaking from personal experience, negative emotions can be so consuming that it's hard to be patient. It feels impossible. But it's times like this when Allah wants us to remember Him and ask for sabr. Sabr isn't something we can instill in ourselves overnight. It's a virtue that we must adapt and learn. Now you might be thinking, well, what does this have to do with me? Or why should I care? Sabr has to do with everyone. You might already be practicing it without knowing you were. Sabr needs to have a place in our relationships because healthy relationships require you to learn how to communicate effectively and resolve conflicts. There is sabr in self-care because taking the time to tend to your well-being mentally, emotionally, and physically doesn't happen within an instant. You need to have sabr in your professional growth because you need to stay committed to your goals and make steady progress. Sabr is the one constant thing you can hold on to when grieving a loss. It helps you process your emotion and leads you through the stages of healing. You can look at the world right now and see all of the violence and hatred everywhere. Most days it feels like there is no end to it, but only with sabr we are able to recognize everything we should be grateful for. I know I'm talking about sabr in Islam. but I think everyone should be able to live with the ideology of Islam and pertain it to our everyday lives. I would like to end with a simple quote from the Quran from Surah Ash-Shar. When translated, it means, verily with hardship there is ease. Thank you.
Pastor Lydia.
For everyone born, a place at the table. For everyone born, clean water and bread. A shelter, a space, a safe place for growing. For everyone born, a star overhead. For everyone born, a place at the table. A voice to be heard, a part in the song. The hands of a child in hands that are wrinkled. For young and for old, the right to belong. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. For all will have bread, a place at the table, a covenant shared, a welcoming space, a rainbow of race and gender and color. For all will have breath, a chalice of grace, and God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. For everyone born, a place at the table, to live without fear and simply to be. To work, to speak out, to witness and worship. For everyone born, the right to be free. God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice. Justice and joy.
Thank you. Place at the table might be reminding us as we hunger and thirst for justice, peace, and joy that we're almost ready to eat. I'd like to call up a colleague and comrade, Dr. Wazir Muhammad, who is
Friends all, I greet you in the name of all the gods, of all the peoples of the world. As a Muslim myself, I want to also greet you with the universal greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum. May the peace and blessings of Allah the Almighty be with you. I want to, this afternoon, make a very clear statement, because we are meeting at a very difficult time in the history of the world. As an interfaith organization, we meet at a critical time, a time wherein civility and respect for human dignity is in many locales worldwide in tatters. Thankfully, we in Richmond have been spared the worst of the ongoing horrors, indignities, and attacks between cultural, religious, and ethnic communities. As an interfaith organization, we seek to help to build bonds and strengthen friendships between members of different religious groups and traditions in our area. This event that we hold every year is a dedication of that commitment, and we're thankful that so many of you come out year after year to support us. In this light, when you do support us, you're supporting the community and you're supporting building community. In this light, it is imperative for me to contextualize the moment and the importance of peace. Not only here in Richmond, not only in our lives, but in our world, whichever world we belong to, but in the entire world. Represented here today are representatives of the entire world, almost, as a small community. As I stand here today as a Muslim who lives with the understanding and recognition that all peoples are equal, and as someone who in my very early childhood witnessed firsthand the indignities and trauma of ethnic and racial riots, and the presence and subjugation of the occupying British colonial military, I have some understanding of the trauma associated with occupation and ethno-national strife. But my trauma and my experience pales in comparison to what we see on the news, in the newspapers, on the television screens. No one and no people should be subjected to the horrors of occupation, war, and ethno-national attacks. I therefore must condemn all violence against civilians, more especially the current violence by the religious fundamentalist group Hamas, and the violence being perpetrated by Israeli settlers in the West Bank and the Israeli military against Palestinians. Killing of innocent civilians and children in Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank is immoral, unconscionable, and illegal. In keeping with the letter to the US President of October 12th by civic and faith leaders, Muslim, Jewish, Arab, Christian, and other faith leaders, I must say, in this critical moment, I believe it is imperative that policymakers on all sides take measures to immediately de-escalate the violence to prevent the further loss of civilian life. As communities of faith, all of us need to stand up in our own movement, in our prayers, privately and publicly, as Elliot did yesterday in Dayton, as the Oriel students did yesterday in Washington, D.C. Why should we do that? Because our religious creeds call on us to live in peace. All the messages from all the religions here today have one single message of peace. But our creed calls on us to live in peace with each other and to seek to resolve conflict, to create a positive justice rather than cold peace, to maintain and multiply our relationships with others, to break down artificial walls of misunderstanding. Today, I say we cannot do less. We emphasize it publicly and openly. The three religions that inherited the sacred spaces in the Middle East owe their beginnings to Prophet Abraham. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are joined at the hip. It is time that we recognize what we have in common and use that to create the bonds of friendship so that each group, people, and religious denomination live in peace and harmony with each other and with all other religions and peoples of faith around the world. I want to end this presentation with a prayer and a saying from the Holy Prophet on peace. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladallin. That's the opening chapter of the Holy Quran. And it says, in the name of God, the infinitely compassionate and merciful. Praise be to God, Lord of all the worlds, the compassionate, the merciful, ruler of the day of reckoning. You alone do we worship, and you alone do we ask for help. Guide us on the straight path, the path of those who have received your grace, not the path of those who have brought down wrath, nor of those who wander astray. O God, you are peace. From you comes peace. To you returns peace. Revive us with a salutation of peace, and lead us to your abode of peace. And this is a direct quote from a saying of Prophet Muhammad, on whom be peace. Sisters and brothers all, I leave you today with the message that when we see violence, when we see bigotry, in all its form, in any form, or task, or God, whichever God we believe in, calls us to stand up. We must always stand up. Thank you.
Thank you, Wazir. If you're looking for guidance on how to stand up afterwards, come see me or Colleen or others around here, and we have plenty of ideas. I'd like to call up Stacia Viramale, who is one of our guiding forces in our Richmond Interfaith network, to bring us home.
Now, how am I supposed to follow that? Wazir has a good way of pulling things together and bringing us together, yet being so profound. I want to thank all of you who came today and continue to support us. I'm seeing some new faces, and I love that. I love that we have more, and I want us to be that little drop in the bucket and have that ripple effect. When we leave here, just like Wazir said, and so many of our other friends today, one person, sometimes it feels overwhelming, seems powerless, but at the same time, we actually harness all the power. Because we all have God, right? We all have that here today. We all have the peace that lives among us, inside of us, through the energy we all feel here today. Can you feel it? I can feel it. I have goosebumps. I might get a little bit clumped. That was for Ellie. But we're hungering. We're hungering for more of that peace. Hungering to be fed by one another and learn more, feel more, experience more, one-on-one. Here we are post-COVID, when we saw everything on screens, like how they created that magnificent piece about the waves and everyone joining from 38 different countries. Look at us here in this room. I guarantee you there's at least 38 countries and ethnic groups represented right here in our community. And we're getting to do it in person. What a blessing. What a blessing. So with that, not only are we spiritually hungry, but we're physically hungry a bit. So I invite all of you to join us. Sit with people you never sit with before. Enjoy the food. And also, leave here with that spirit, with that peace of understanding, with that shalom, that salam, namaste, the courage, the strength that only God can bring us. With that, being in a Quaker meeting home, why don't we have a quick little moment of meditation and some silence to center us back around?
لو يبقى عيدي إيمانك والأحلام بنعمر دنيا جديدة دنيا حق وسلام ليه لما تتصور